2 of Diluting Al-Wala Wal-Bara, part of the Right Belief series, the Unveiled Trilogy, written by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. This book will focus on awakening the faith in a non-faith-centered world. Explained, broken down, and brought to you, unlike before, by Ustada lailanasheeba. Join us Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Sunnah Followers.
Alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. Just to remind everybody, yes, we do have Brother Mukhtar's class tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, he'll be doing the Caliphate of Abu Bakr, radiallahu anha. And you have my class, Heroines of Islam. I'll be doing a story of Amara. That's tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you guys have been asking me, a lot of you have been asking me about Amara, because she was a definite female warrior. Well, all these, as you guys can see, all the women were warriors. They all were trained to fight. That was just the time. But she was one of the best. She participated in numerous battles and received injuries as a result. So I'm doing her story tonight, Amara, radiallahu anha. She was a warrior of Islam, a great woman, a great role model for us today, because remember, as Muslims, we are people balanced. She was balanced. Not only was she a warrior who fought in the way of Allah right on the battlefield with the men, but she was an excellent mother. Okay, she was also an excellent wife, and she was a woman of dawah. She taught the women of her tribe Islam. She was like me, a daya. She taught them the basics of Islam, what it meant to believe in Allah, what allegiance entails. So she was able to do all these things within balance. You know, she was a warrior, but she knew that her main place was at home with her children. So she raised sons. She raised her son and her daughter too, because I'm going to do her daughter's story for y'all later. She raised her sons and her daughters to be warriors in the way of Allah. They knew how to wield a sword, but they also knew how to pray. They knew how to recite the tashahhud. Many of you don't. Her sons knew that their obligation was to the mosque, to go to the mosque and perform their prayers. Her daughter knew, okay, that she was created, to bear children and to be the guardian of the children, to teach her children this deen. Okay, so she was balanced. So her story I'm going to do tonight is a great story for all women today, because so many of you are impacted by westernization. You want to go out and get a job and work and all of that stuff, but you neglect your children. Amara didn't neglect her kids. They came first. She took care of that responsibility first. Then she'd go out on that battlefield. Okay, and she had them with her. So that's tonight at 9, inshallah. Make sure you guys spread the word around. It seems like my my series on the heroines of Islam is becoming pretty popular on the internet, it seems. All right, so let's get started with this class. Today, inshallah, we'll begin the second book of the Unveiled Trilogy that is written by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. This is volume 2 of Diluting Wala Wal Bara. And everyone should have the book now, because Allah knows I've been advertising it forever. And the book can be purchased at Amazon.com. And the volume 2 focuses on how to awaken our faith when living in a non-faith centered world. And the book is over 500 pages. And if you guys have reviewed the book already or just glanced through it, you can see why. You should be able to see why it's so lengthy. Not just because there's a lot to say about how to live in how to maintain your faith in a non-faith centered world, but also it's lengthy because he also does a lot of reviewing. He reviews what was discussed in volume 1 in the first part of this book. So today what I'm going to be doing is reviewing the basics of what al-wala wal-bara entails, the basics of what we've discussed in this journey over the past year. And for those of you who have the book, I want you to take the book out and turn to pages 16. We'll be covering pages 16 through 18. The pages before 16 are the introduction, and I want you guys to read that. Read that introduction, the first 15 pages, because Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd gives a great homaging introduction as to why he wrote this book, why he put this series together, and all of that. So that's good, interesting reading for everyone. But we're going to start with chapter 1, the first part, pages 16 through 18 today, which will serve as basically a review. So let me set it up. And by the way, when I put the PowerPoint up on the screen, what I suggest everyone listening to me do, I even have some people watching on TV. Okay. For those of you watching me, and by the way, I did check it out. Do we get hits? Remember, Geechee, was that your question? Do we get hits from the people watching on YouTube on their television? Yes, I guess yes. It will still go towards our views. Whoever watches my channel on their television at home, if they play it back, as long as they watch it for at least 30 seconds, yes, it'll count as my credit for hits. So that was a question that some of you asked. If y'all watch on TV, will our website still get those credits? Yes. So for those of you listening on television, the only thing with TV, you can't take a screenshot. Okay. So what you do is you're going to have to use your cell phone. When I put the PowerPoint up on the screen, screenshot it. So that way at the end of the class, you can print everything out, because this is an intense topic. A lot of people, a lot of these famous speakers that y'all listen to do not understand the concept of wala wal-bara. Okay. It's a very, very, very hard part of the Shahada to understand. And that's what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spent all his time as a prophet teaching wala wal-bara. The companions finally got it. Okay. So take your phone and screenshot the PowerPoints, print them out at the end of the class, staple them together, and then attach them. Take a paper clip and attach that to page 16 of volume 2. So that way it'll have the information, explanation of pages 16 through 18. Okay, so now let me go full screen. Yeah. The people on TV, I just got a text message. Yes, it counts. Yeah, no, you can't. The sister's texting me. No, you can't. Tell the kids. Her kids like to watch me on TV. Tell the kids they can't take a screenshot on TV. Use their iPad. The kids got an iPad or a tablet, they can use that, inshallah. Okay, let me take this off. And I'm going to take this off so y'all can get the full screen. Hold on. Where is it? How do I take it off? Oh, it's at the top. Okay, does it? Let me know. Oh, is it down? It's off now, right? Okay. All right. And for the people on Zoom, because they take their screenshots on Zoom, I'm connecting you to Twitter. By the way, I'm streaming live on Twitter too. And by the way, if you're on Twitter and you have a comment or a question, you can type it. And I will be able to see, because with this program that I'm using, yes, I can see what you type on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch and the others. Okay, so here we go. I'm sharing you guys now here to, inshallah, this is Twitter. Yeah, that's Twitter. Okay, for the rest of you, watch the snow for a minute while I go live screen to the PowerPoint. Hold on. Diluting. Is this it? Yeah, hold on. Yeah, you can keep the TV on, but it's just you won't be able to watch the screen, get the screenshots, okay? Yeah. Okay, yeah. The kids are saying that the TV is bigger for them. MashaAllah. Make sure I keep today's lecture G. Is anybody in my Zoom room?
Yeah, we here.
Okay, remind me to keep it G. Because I got some kids, some of the parents, they're homeschooling their kids, and this is part of their homeschool program. I guess with homeschool, they allow you to, they can. Isra said they can take the pictures while watching. Well, after class, Isra, I'm going to need you to explain how to do it. I just told the kids they couldn't. Okay, but Isra said you can screenshot with television. But we'll talk about it after class. But some of the parents are homeschooling their kids, and part of their homeschool program is for them to join my class at 6. So remind me to keep everything G. Okay. All right. So there's the PowerPoint. Let me make it big screen. All right. This is the new book. For those of you who haven't bought it, go to Amazon.com. For the kids following me, your parents have the book already. Okay. Diluting El Better. This is the red one. And this is volume 2. It says it down here. My picture is not on the book or Kareem Abu Zaid. That's a picture of Kareem Abu Zaid for the kids. That's the man who wrote the book. That's Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. If you ever meet him, you call him Sheikh Kareem. Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. Okay. All right. So that's his picture. But this is volume 2, which focuses on awakening faith in a non-faith centered world. Okay. Today, we're going to recap what it means and what we've discussed about nurturing faith and unity, how El-Wala wal-Bara refers to El-Wala is your allegiance. Wal-Bara, I use the word disassociation. Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid uses the word disavow. I don't use that because we're American English speaking people. Americans don't use the word disavow. If you say disavow to an American, they're going to ask you, what are you talking about? So we use the word disassociation. We'll say disassociate. We won't say disavow. Okay. So this is referring to El-Wala, your allegiance, and Wal-Bara, your disassociation. And we're going to recap what we discussed. And by the way, screenshot this. We're going to recap what we discussed about how these two Arabic words focus on nurturing our iman, our faith, and our solidarity, which is unity. I love the word solidarity because I used to be a unionist. I just retired. And I love that word solidarity because that's stronger. That's the strongest form of unity. All right. Kids. Okay. The kids like that. Okay. We emphasized the importance of El-Wala wal-Bara, allegiance and disassociation. We talked about how in order to build unity amongst the Muslims, we have to have it. We also looked at how having the proper allegiance and the proper disassociation, how it promotes that unity and how it protects our identity. And that is what is so important. As Muslims, we have to safeguard or protect the Muslim identity. We've lost that, especially living in the West. You see, Muslims, we don't dress the part. You young Muslim girls, every Muslim woman, you shouldn't be wearing blue jeans with a little top. No, you should be wearing abayas or overgarments, because the overgarment prevents the people from seeing the shape of our body parts and the skin. Okay? If you're gonna wear blue jeans, wear them underneath your abaya so that no one can see the shape of your legs. And just to let you young girls know, Aisha, radiallahu anha, she always wore a pair of pants underneath her shift. She always wore pants under her shift. The woman I'm going to give you the story of today, Amara, she also always wore pants under her abaya, because you never know when you have to throw down. You never know when somebody's going to try to bully you. Somebody's going to try to grab you. You have to be able to do a roundhouse kick. You have to be able to take that person down. So the women, the female companions, they always wore pants underneath their overgarments. And you will find many hadiths that speak about that. In fact, what made Aisha start wearing them was the hadith in Sahih Bukhari. When the Muslims fought the Battle of Badr, Aisha was on the battlefield. Always when I'm teaching, Aisha was on the battlefield bringing water to the wounded. She had to raise her dress, her shift, to step over the dead to get to the wounded. And some of the companions said you could see the calf of her legs. This is in Sahih Bukhari. You could see the calf of her legs as she moved over to treat the sick. And it was after that Aisha and the other women started wearing pants underneath their abayas. So that way on the battlefield, even if like Aisha was a nurse. So that way they can get around and they could lift their shifts up and the men couldn't see their legs. And by the way, the pants that the Arab women wore were harem pants. Who do you think invented them? The Arabic women wore harem pants. Their pants were not tight fitting like what you sisters are wearing today. They were harem pants that allowed them to move freely in battle and freely on the battlefield to attend to the sick. You got to know the history of Islam. Those hadiths don't make sense unless you know the history. Why did the companions, they weren't putting Aisha down when they were talking about how they saw the calf of her leg? Okay? And by the way, the verses of hijab came down after that. Just so you brothers know. The ones that like to slander the companions, those Shiites. The verses of hijab came down after that. And after that, she wore pants, as all the Muslim women did. Harem pants. So anyway, getting back to this, we talked about the importance of how having the correct allegiance and disassociation, it protects our identity as Muslims. The Muslim identity in the West is deteriorating. The children don't dress the part. The girls are not wearing abayas. The boys are shaving their heads. How many of you boys have your hairstyles like the Kafirs have, where you shave half your hair off and keep the other half long? This is haram. We've lost our identity. We imitate them in their dress. How many of us talk like them? You Muslim boys, how many of you are into the hip hop culture? So again, that we talked about the importance of how allegiance helps to maintain the Muslim identity. We also discussed how, as Muslims, we have to be able to differentiate and distinguish between the morality and lifestyles of the people around us that contradict our beliefs and stay clear of them. We got Muslims celebrating birthdays. We talked about that in detail. Birthday celebration is haram. We can't even say happy birthday to a person, because by saying happy birthday to a person, you are promoting something that contradicts Islam. We don't worship anyone but Allah. That's what la ilaha illallah. That's the first principle. The only one worthy of worship is Allah. Celebrating a birthday, you are worshiping the birth of someone, something other than Allah. We don't worship the birth or death of anyone. The prophet said the sun doesn't and moon don't rise or eclipse for the birth or death of anyone. But look how many of you Muslims are celebrating birthdays. You guys are committing shirk. Y'all need to stop it. And just because you change the name to Born Day, that makes it worse. Stop happy birthdaying, because it contradicts our Islamic values. We don't participate in non-Muslim celebrations. Why? Because again, we have to practice Bara. We have to distance ourselves from anything that compromises our allegiance. My allegiance is not to the pilgrims, so I don't celebrate Thanksgiving. My allegiance is not to America and its Independence Day, so we don't do the 4th of July. Valentine's goes against our morality. We don't believe in girlfriend, boyfriend, sex out of marriage, so we don't do Valentine's. Allah commands us to respect his nature, to respect his creation every day. So that's why we don't do Arbor Day. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never set aside a day to give homage to El Aqsa. So we don't do El Aqsa either. Y'all see it? So anything that contradicts our Islamic morality and lifestyle, we distance ourselves from it. We stay clear of it. That's the concept of allegiance and disassociation. We also reviewed how there are many verses in the Quran and Hadith that emphasize how we're supposed to show solidarity with each other. Our allegiance is not to the Black people because we're Black. Our allegiance is not to the Asian people because I'm Asian. My allegiance is not to Norway because I'm Norwegian. My allegiance is not to Saudi Arabia because I'm from Saudi Arabia. No, my allegiance is to Allah, to the Prophet, and to the believers, no matter where they are on earth, no matter what their race is, no matter what their color is. My allegiance is not to the land, because the land belongs to Allah. We talked about that. The land belongs to Allah. So this is a problem too, we discussed with living in the West. We have misplaced allegiance. Misplaced allegiance. Race, color, where you come from should not be what unites you. What unites us should be La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We don't go around making fun of other Muslims. We don't go around putting down other Muslims because they're our brothers and sisters in faith. And we do not establish relationships of closeness to people who do make fun of us or our way of life. We talked about that in detail. We talked about how there's many verses from the Quran and from the authentic hadiths that specify this. Okay? We also investigated how allegiance and disassociation, what their linguistic foundations are. In other words, what they mean. We also tracked down the evolution of the linguistics. And we talked about how there are certain emotions and acknowledgments that play in the term el-wala and well-better, such as love and hate. We went into a lot of detail about that one. I gave you guys many hadiths where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you will never be a believer until you love what Allah loves and hate only what he hates. We talked about how this is the jihad, or the personal struggle that many of us endure on a daily basis, trying to balance our love and balance our hate accordingly and properly. We talked about the dangers of not having love and hate for what Allah loves and hate, how we've come to where we are today, how so many Muslims are making things haram that Allah did not make haram, like makeup. Allah didn't mention nothing about makeup. The Prophet Muhammad didn't mention nothing about makeup. The Prophet's wives even wore makeup. But we got men and women today making haram what Allah did not make haram because their personal hate of something has come into play. That's what happens. We talked about the dangers of this. When our love and our hate is not for what Allah loves and hate, it leads to chaos. Okay? We talked about how everything that Allah made lawful is good and clean. And the bad things and the dirty things are what Allah made haram. So that's why we have to be careful using the word haram. Don't call something haram unless you have a clear nas or a clear verse. We talked about that. Otherwise, you're calling something bad and dirty that Allah made good and clean. Example we gave was polygamy. A lot of you sisters, hate polygamy and call polygamy bad, dirty. Some even say it's haram, that it was something done in the past, not for today. I don't know where y'all get this twisted crap from. But everything Allah made lawful was good and clean. Polygamy, good and clean. Divorce. We talked about how a lot of y'all say that divorce is hated by Allah. That hadith is not authentic. Allah tells us in the Quran, the things that he hates are the things he made unlawful. And of all the things he hates the most is for you to speak about him or to speak about his religion without knowledge. So those people telling you divorce is haram, they're saying divorce is bad and dirty, or that Allah hates divorce. This is a lie. We went into a lot of detail, a lot of discussion on that. We talked about how we have to be moderate in our love, moderate in our hate, to not allow these two powerful emotions to cause us to transgress Allah and his limits. We talked about how some of us love our children, for example, more than we do Allah. We'll allow our children to sell drugs, for example, from out of our homes, knowing it's haram, but we love our kid that much. We talked about how many of us struggle with hate. You hate what's going on in Gaza. We all do. But you can't control it. Your hatred of what's going on in Gaza is causing you to question why Allah is allowing this to happen. Astaghfirullah, which can totally invalidate your belief in him. So we went into a lot of discussion in the first book. We spent weeks talking about what it means to love for the sake of Allah, to hate for the sake of Allah, and how everything we do should be balanced. And we talked about what happens as a result of not loving and hating for the sake of Allah. Okay, take a screenshot of this page. I'm going to give y'all a couple of seconds. Okay. And finally, we also spent a lot of time revealing the truth as to how to develop a balanced and true understanding of allegiance and disassociation. We talked about how there are some Muslim groups that go too far in this with their allegiance and disassociation. We talked about the Kharijites. We talked about the Mu'tazilai. We gave examples of today for people who may fall into that group for their extreme radical views or their too lenient views. Again, it's all about striking balance. Everything, our love and hate, has to be balanced. Our relationship with the non-Muslims, balanced. We hate them for the sake of Allah. What does that mean? That means it's not personal. What we hate is the fact that they don't believe in him, that they don't obey him, that they reject him, that they associate partners with him. But it's not a personal hate. I'm not going to allow that to cause me to mistreat them, to harm them, to violate them. And if they're my neighbors, they have certain rights over me. I'm going to be there to help them in their time of need. When I cook a pot of soup, I know that my neighbor can smell it. So I'm going to go and ask her if she's a female, not a man. I'm going to ask my next door neighbor who's not a Muslim. I'm going to tell her I made a big pot of soup, too much for myself. Would you like a bowl? Would you like me to share it with you? Because I know she smelled it and it smells so good cooking. So we're nice and kind in our interactions with the non-Muslims as long as they are nice and kind to us. So these are some of the things that we talked about. And in this book, moving forward in volume 2, we're going to go into more examples. Sheikh Kareem Abu Zayd gives more examples of allegiance and disassociation and the balance. So again, like I said, today is just serving as an update. And then tomorrow, inshallah, hold on, I'm trying to switch. Yeah, just bear with me, sisters. Y'all know I'm doing this by myself. Oh, what's this? Oh, stay on page. Hold on. Okay. Oh, where's the Zoom room? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I had to find the Zoom. One day I'm going to have somebody to help me work this stuff, guys. Y'all see everything I do, I'm doing it myself here. And let me go to Zoom. Zoom, allow, and then go back to here. This is a different program I'm using. There. Yeah. Okay, now here I am. I'm sorry. I'll put my hood back on. Laughing at me. All right. So in this book, we're going to review more about the lawful, wala and Bara. So I'm going to stop right here. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. And by the way,